Stories thrive on conflict. They need danger, tension, and high stakes to captivate the audience. What better way to create those elements than with a terrifying disease that spreads uncontrollably? Fictional diseases have fueled countless narratives, from ancient myths to modern blockbusters, captivating audiences across generations. They serve as a potent metaphor for fear itself, representing the unknown and the uncontrollable forces that can upend our lives. Think about it. A single cough, a touch, a bite. Suddenly, the world is plunged into chaos, and everything changes in an instant. These diseases, born in the minds of writers, explore our deepest anxieties about vulnerability and mortality, tapping into universal fears. But these fictional plagues aren't just plot devices to drive the story forward. They offer a glimpse into our understanding of real-world diseases, reflecting our scientific knowledge and societal concerns. They reflect our fears about pandemics, epidemics, and the fragility of human life, showing how quickly our world can change. Take, for instance, the Red Death in Edgar Allan Poe's chilling tale, a story that has haunted readers for generations. It's a gruesome allegory for the Black Death, highlighting the indiscriminate nature of disease and the inevitability of death, no matter one's status. Fictional diseases also allow us to explore hypothetical scenarios, pushing the boundaries of what's scientifically possible and imaginable. What if a disease could reanimate the dead, turning our loved ones into something unrecognizable? What if it could control our minds, stripping away our free will and autonomy? These questions may seem far-fetched, but they force us to confront uncomfortable truths about the power of nature and the limits of our control over it. By venturing into the realm of fantasy, we gain a new perspective on the very real threats we face in the real world, and perhaps a better understanding of ourselves. The line between fiction and reality blurs when we consider the weaponization of disease. History is littered with examples of biological warfare, from the catapulting of plague-ridden corpses in ancient sieges to the more recent anthrax attacks. These horrific events demonstrate the devastating potential of using diseases as weapons. But what happens when we bring fictional diseases into the equation? Suddenly the stakes become even higher, the scenarios even more terrifying. Imagine a virus engineered to spread like wildfire, bypassing our immune systems and decimating populations, or a bacterium designed to manipulate minds, turning its victims into mindless drones. These are not merely the fantasies of science fiction writers. They are chilling possibilities in a world where biotechnology is advancing at an unprecedented rate. The tools and knowledge to manipulate life itself are increasingly falling into the wrong hands. The fictional realm often serves as a warning, a stark reminder of the potential consequences of unchecked scientific ambition. Stories about weaponized diseases force us to confront a terrifying truth. In the wrong hands, knowledge can be as dangerous as any weapon. They serve as a cautionary tale, urging us to consider the ethical implications of our actions and the potential consequences of our creations. To understand the potential impact of fictional diseases, we need only look at the devastation caused by real-world pandemics. These events have shaped our history and continue to influence our present and future. The Black Death, for instance, wiped out a third of Europe's population in the 14th century, leaving an indelible mark on history. It altered the course of societies, economies, and cultures in ways that are still felt today. Its rapid spread, gruesome symptoms, and high mortality rates serve as a chilling reminder of the power of disease. The sight of plague doctors in their eerie masks is an image that has haunted generations. Similarly, the Ebola outbreak in West Africa in 2014 highlighted the devastating impact of highly contagious and deadly viruses. The world watched in horror as the virus spread, causing widespread fear and panic. The fear, the quarantine measures, the desperate search for a cure. These real-world events mirror the scenarios we often see in fictional accounts of pandemics. The empty supermarket shelves and the sight of people in quarantine became all too familiar. However, fictional diseases often take these real-world fears a step further. They amplify our anxieties and push the boundaries of what we believe is possible. They introduce elements of the unknown, the unpredictable, the seemingly impossible. These elements create a sense of dread and suspense that keeps us on the edge of our seats. They might spread through unusual vectors like the air we breathe or the water we drink. This unpredictability makes them even more terrifying. Their symptoms might be bizarre and terrifying, defying medical explanation. Doctors and scientists are left baffled, adding to the sense of helplessness. And their lethality might be absolute, leaving no room for survivors. Entire cities could be abandoned and graveyards filled with the victims of these fictional plagues. By exaggerating and distorting real-world diseases, fictional narratives force us to confront our deepest fears about the fragility of life and the limits of our control. They make us question our preparedness and resilience. They remind us that no matter how advanced our technology, we are still vulnerable to the whims of nature. The balance between human progress and nature's unpredictability is a delicate one, and these stories serve as a stark reminder of that reality. Section 4. Contagion of Fear. Imagining the spread, symptoms and lethality. One of the most terrifying aspects of fictional diseases is their imaginative nature. These diseases are not bound by the rules of reality, allowing writers to explore the darkest corners of human fear. Writers can craft contagions that spread through unusual means, manifest in horrifying symptoms, and boast terrifyingly high mortality rates. The creativity involved in these scenarios often makes them more unsettling than real-world diseases. These creative liberties tap into our primal fears of the unknown and the uncontrollable. The unpredictability of such diseases heightens the sense of dread and anxiety. Imagine a disease that spreads through sound, its victims driven mad by an insidious whisper. The very air around us could become a vector for terror, or a plague that alters its victims' DNA, transforming them into monstrous creatures. These transformations could be both physical and psychological, leading to a complete loss of identity. The possibilities are as limitless as the human imagination. Each new scenario brings with it a fresh wave of fear and uncertainty. These imaginative scenarios force us to confront the possibility of threats beyond our current understanding. They push the boundaries of what we consider possible and challenge our scientific knowledge. They challenge our assumptions about how diseases work and how they can harm us. The unknown nature of these diseases makes them all the more terrifying. The symptoms of fictional diseases are often equally inventive and terrifying. Victims might experience a range of horrifying effects that defy logic and reason. Victims might experience hallucinations, uncontrolled mutations, or even a complete loss of their humanity. These symptoms serve to amplify the horror and make the disease feel even more insidious. These gruesome details heighten the sense of dread and serve as a constant reminder of the disease's destructive power. The more grotesque the symptoms, the more they linger in our minds. Finally, the lethality of fictional diseases varies, but it's often depicted as swift and absolute. The rapid progression of these diseases leaves little room for hope or recovery. This element of inevitability adds to the sense of hopelessness and despair, amplifying the dramatic impact of the narrative. The finality of the disease's impact makes the story all the more poignant. We are left to grapple with the potential consequences of a threat that cannot be contained or cured. The lingering fear of such a scenario forces us to reflect on our own vulnerabilities and the fragility of human life. Section 5. Beyond the microscope's reach, rapid mutation and mind control. Fictional diseases often push the boundaries of what's scientifically plausible. They might mutate at an alarming rate, rendering vaccines and treatments useless. Imagine a virus that evolves with each new host, constantly outpacing our efforts to combat it. This terrifying possibility reflects our anxieties about antibiotic resistance and the emergence of new and deadly pathogens. Even more unsettling is the concept of mind control. Fictional diseases like the Rage virus in 28 Days Later or the flood infection in the Halo franchise turn their victims into aggressive, uncontrollable monsters, stripping them of their humanity. These scenarios tap into our deepest fears about losing control of our minds and bodies. While mind control through disease might seem far-fetched, recent scientific advancements in fields like optogenetics and parasitology have shown us that manipulating behavior through biological means might not be entirely science fiction. These real-world parallels make the threat of mind-controlling diseases all the more unsettling. Section 6. Outsmarting modern medicine, how fictional diseases defy the cure. One of the most frightening aspects of fictional diseases is their ability to defy our current medical technology. They might be immune to antibiotics, evade detection by conventional tests, or mutate so rapidly that vaccines become ineffective. This element of invincibility adds to the sense of dread, making us feel powerless against an invisible enemy. Imagine a disease that can camouflage itself within our own cells, evading detection by our immune system, or a bacterium that thrives in the presence of antibiotics, turning our defenses against us. These scenarios highlight the constant battle between scientific advancement and the ever-evolving world of pathogens. Fictional diseases often serve as a reminder that our understanding of biology is constantly evolving. New threats can emerge at any time, and our current technology might not always be enough to combat them. This realization underscores the importance of continued research and the need for innovative approaches to disease control and prevention.